Give me a second. I'm going to bring up my desktop. It's Saturday. It's Saturday evening for me. I don't know about anyone else. Probably not. It's Saturday evening for me for two reasons. One, it's after 5. Two, I go to bed really, really early. Our friend Kay is here, or was here. Kay says, "Hey, Yogi." Kay, how are you? Hope you're having a good Saturday. Hope it's a beautiful Saturday for you and that you got a chance to spend some time in your garden, your happy place. So, bringing up my desktop. I just put out a video right before this. I read from my blog for the first time. I'm going to do that a little more often. I've been doing a video a day on my re-emergence, re-studying, re-inspiration, um, diving back into A Course in Miracles. It's not that I ever left studying A Course in Miracles. I read of The Course in Miracles in the late 1980s. I started reading books about The Course in Miracles in the early 90s. Again, in the early 90s, I picked up the course. I started reading it. I started doing the workbook lessons. I put it aside. It is a book that demands the eventual surrender through the process of realization and insight and vision, true seeing, that we give up our ego. However, the last thing the ego wants is to give itself up. The ego is firmly convinced that it knows what's best for us. It's funny that I have to use the language of duality to explain it, because we know innately, deeply, that we are not the ego, that the ego is simply an appearance, a collection of thoughts that has cleverly asserted itself as who and what we are. William's here. William says, "Hello, I'm back." Welcome back, my friend. It's always good to spend some time with you, William. How's everything with you? How is, I know I mention this, I mention it every time. How is the fasting going? William says, "I won't give it up, and I am sure it knows nothing but what is life but overcoming failure." I don't know about that, William. What if you didn't see things as failures? You can't give up the ego, because in reality, in truth, you are not the ego. How can you give up something that you are not? All you can do is realize that you're not the ego. All it comes down to is realization, removing the blocks of awareness, and then you see the ego for what it is. It's a phantom. It's a ghost of the machine, illusory. Not only that, but because it has believed in itself and has believed that it's been calling the shots, it has made selfish shots all through all of our entire lives, and it has projected a world of fear, a world of failures, a world of separation, a world of lack and discord, that we see that it's perfectly okay for some people to go hungry and others to have more than enough food, that they literally throw it away. They've had enough. They've had their fill. They'll throw it away. In the West, we suffer diseases of affluence, diseases of people who have too much. Diabetes, heart condition, cardiovascular disease. All of those are mainly diseases of affluence because of the lifestyles that we have, which, it's good that we have comfort. However, in order for us to have comfort, did you know, not to get on my vegan bandwagon, but the vast majority of grains and soybeans grown are used to feed cattle that a small percentage of the world population actually eats, being those in the West. And that all of that grain could go to feed every single starving person in the world. That in one state, probably one county in one state, could make enough grain, produce enough soybeans, that every child would probably get a chance to eat something tonight. and yet it's gone to feed cattle. A lot of people like to point out that, vegans are so full of themselves because if you were to see all of the animals destroyed, killed, the small animals, by tractors farming those soybeans. Vegans don't eat a ton of soybeans. But where do you think all that soy is coming from? It is coming to feed cattle. If you reduce, I'm not telling anyone to go vegan, your choice. However, if we were to reduce, or if we would go to small husbandry instead of agribusinesses, we could address the climate crisis and we could feed every starving child in the world. Like that, simply. However, our ego says no. There isn't enough. We can't do it all. Some people are supposed to have some, other people are supposed to have little or none. But that's an illusion. The ego says that, but the illusion is not who we are. Let's see. William says, I broke it, short-lived as always. That's okay. It's never meant to be anything other than what it is. Maybe that was the perfect amount of time for you to be fasting. William says, that is largely why I went mostly veg. Awesome. Kazros, did I say that right? Have you all them books behind you? I have not read all of them. I've probably read 90% plus, but I have hopes of reading all of them. Many I've read over and over again. I got books over here. I got a packed library in the next room, in the hallway, in the room there, downstairs, and in the basement. Our good friend Mr. Poopinator is here. Long time no see. Says fart for me, bro. Man, I would. The thing is, it's been so long since you've been here and you've asked me that, I have completely forgotten how to fart. I tried, like for old time's sake. I thought, you know what, let me just see if I can do it. I couldn't remember. That's what happens, Mr. Poopinator, when you don't show up often enough. You have a responsibility, Mr. Poopinator. You got to keep me in check. Happy Saturday, and hello, Chatter Batters. Good to have you back. Kay says, hello to Mr. Poopinator. And to William. Brooke Bob says, oiled up. Man, I'm always oiled up. I'm oiled up and ready to go. First thing I do in the morning, before I meditate, before I do my breath work, before I do my yoga, I oil up. Also, I'm naturally oiled. I'm naturally oily. It just, like seals. Seals are naturally oily. They produce a seal that keeps them warm. I'm like a human oiled seal. Mr. Poopinator said, oh man, I got a new job. I heard you mentioned that the last time you popped in briefly. Congratulations on the new job. You said that they won't, you got to lock up your cell phone. Let's see. Kazua says, what are your books about? Most of them are about some type of spirituality, a lot of Eastern spirituality. There's a lot of science books. There's some fiction books, a lot of books on fiction, particularly running and ultra running, body weight training. A lot of books on music, books on jazz, books on early days of rock. A variety. Thanks for asking. Poopinator says they be not having phones on the line and making us keep in locker until breaks. I thought that was sort of a thing of the past. That phones were so part of the everyday culture that they were just accepted to have at all times. If you can have them in a classroom, as an adult, you should be trusted to have it at work. Did you mention to your new employees that there is a bald old man sitting in his office who is expecting you to at least show up to say hi? I'm sure if you explain it to them that they would be more than understanding. Kay says hi to Kazrose. I hope I'm saying that right. Poopinator says, "When I'm here now, hope all is well, Eric." It is well. I've been having a couple enjoyable live streams. They're all usually pretty good, but the last few have had a nice flow to them. We've had some nice people show up. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. Um, we were talking about the best year in music. What do you think, Mr. Poopinator? William, you were here for that. What do you think, Mr. Poopinator? Hey, Kay, the best year ever in music. Caswell says, I love reading biographies and spirituality. Awesome. Do you have any favorites? You can combine the two. Have you ever read The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda? It's the book I read in the mid 80s, and it confirmed my path of being a yogi. Poopinator says, people still have their phones on them, but I just started, so I got to see how the operation is. That makes sense. Makes sense. Roy says, I don't have a stance in the question, but thank you for the hello. Of course. You're essential to the conversation no matter what direction it takes, William. So we can talk some more on the eventual surrender of the ego, because it happens to all of us. Of course, most of the time it happens on our deathbed. This is why in the Sufi tradition, as well as some of the Buddhist tradition, they say, die while you're still alive. The saying is, be prepared to let go. That don't depend on death for the release of the ego. Die to the ego now. Live a life fully surrendered to spirit, fully surrendered to God. Let God call the shots. Whatever your concept of God is, let it go. And let the reality of God, which is beyond concept, call the shots. Pipina says people in the cooler to use them, and people in the classroom too. Kids have them with them. Mr. Pupinita said, Eric for president. Man, that is a thankless task. According to the Tao Te Ching, the best leaders lead without anyone even knowing that they're there. Imagine that. You didn't have a leader thumping their chest. They trusted people to make the best decision with their bodies. We have laws that keep us from running a red light, or we would have laws, that are based upon civil conduct. But those big major things, everyone knows that we have our own wisdom, our own guidance. Intuitively, we know what to do. And the best leaders know that. So they lead as little as possible. They set policy, but they don't dictate. Jay says, they only come here for 300 things: love, wisdom, kindness, happiness, enlightenment, joy, motivation, company, great, and 292 more. But space is limited here. Well, thank you for that, Jace. That's a good start to the list. Here's the funny thing. That's all the stuff that you bring. That is all the stuff that you bring to the table, my friend. Let's see. Journey of Souls, The Power of Letting Go. That's they're my favorite. I'm not familiar with Journey of Souls. The Power of Letting Go. I'm trying to think who wrote The Power of Letting Go. Have you read The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle? Excellent book. Let's see. Pupinator says New York is banning cell phones in the classroom. Are they? Man, I wonder how that's going to go over. Going to be some unhappy kids, some unhappy parents too. They seem to be, in this day and age, a necessity for so much. Man, it might come down, you know, the prevention of something tragic happen might come down to a single kid with a cell phone. You never know. It has before. Jay says, blessings to you all. Kazro says, John Perkis. Thank you for that. You know what? I'm going to look him up. I appreciate that suggestion. Kay says, hey to Jace. So, who's subscribed to who, guys? Are you all subscribed to Jace? Are you all subscribed to Kay? Because we got some good people here. We always have good people here. But there are some top-notch channels putting out some very, very... Man, you know, we were talking a little bit of politics, sort of. Not politics. We have not mentioned a single person. As far as I'm concerned, I'd love to keep it that way. Whenever anyone asks me about my politics, they expect me to give a political party. But my answer is very simple, that my politics is kindness. My politics is love. I vote in the direction of love. I vote in the direction of kindness. Out of the concern for everyone, not just for the concern of a few. Hey, Kazros, I just subscribed to you, my friend. Evan says, my parents are narcissistic. Eventually that'll come out. I tried to gray rock them, and I think it wrecked my relationship with my girlfriend. I got dysregulated, and I caused stress. Now she is not talking to me. Well, man, I'm sorry to hear about your parents. There's really not much you can do with that, other than you learn to accept your parents for who and what they are, forgiving them, because if that is true, and I have no reason not to believe you, my friend, it is a clinical diagnosis. They're not responsible for that. How can you blame someone for something they're not responsible for? It's so easy to, we want to. However, do you blame someone who might be schizophrenic for their schizophrenia? Do you blame someone who has cancer for their cancer? If someone is clinically diagnosed, or you know that all the symptoms are there, it's really hard to blame someone for the conditions that they have. So that puts you in the position of forgiving and offering love regardless. And with your girlfriend, I don't want to give relationship advice, but here's a very important thing. Sometimes we can be right. All the time we can be kind. Given a choice, and you always have that choice, choose to be kind rather than right. Because in your head, you can always walk away and think, I was right. But kindness takes you all the way there. Kindness is the key to awakening. Kindness is the key to enlightenment. Kindness is the way towards, in A Course in Miracles, they call it a holy relationship. And a holy relationship is loving the way God loves, meaning without condition. So saying I'm sorry goes a long way. A sincere I'm sorry doesn't mean that you are sorry for something specific. It means I'm sorry for not fully understanding where you were coming from, and I would like to. I hope that helps. Our good friend Jacob is here. Jacob comes in and immediately starts helping people. Thank you for that, Jacob. Poopinator says, exactly, our governor is not liked very much. Yeah, and that's a shame. That's what I meant by, not trusting people, making policies because making policies for the sake of policies, but totally independent of what is best for the people themselves, who are smart enough to make many of these decisions for themselves. Thank you so much, Jacob. Kay says, hey, Jacob. Hey, Jace, are you subscribed to our friend Mr. Poopinator? Mr. Poopinator, are you subscribed to our friend Jace? If you want to see some really good, hey, Poopinator, his follow-along routines would be perfect for you. Jace says, Jacob, brother, good to see you, sir. How are you today? Jacob says, hey, brother Jace, good day to you. I'm doing pretty good. How about you, brother Jace? Jace is in bed. Sleep time soon. Another day. Sunday awaits. Love you some guy, brother. Yeah, actually, I'm not too far away from going to bed. Another hour-ish. Even though, yeah, it's early. I go to bed early because I'm up early. Jacob says, greetings and blessings to you all. Hit the like button for our great friend, Mr. Yogi. Big salute to you and you all. Thank you, Jacob. Very much appreciated. Jace says to Kaz Rose, that's up to you. Nice. Jace says, I sure am. Sabine is here. Sabine, how's your visit? Your friends visiting? How's everything going? Jace says, the lovely Sabine is here. And Jacob drops her link. Thank you for that, Jacob. Kazro says, thanks, Jace. I'm not a YouTuber. It was just my son messing around. It's nice to link up, though, you know? Just a little show of friendship and support. Excuse me, guys. Speed says, we have some friends visiting from Germany, so I'm really sorry that I just managed to stop by now. That's okay, my friend. You had mentioned yesterday that you were going to be busy over the weekend with some friends. I hope you're enjoying their visit, having a lot of fun. Jacob says, rest well, brother Jace. Another day for great opportunities. What's your plans for tomorrow, Jacob? Are you going to join in with Burpee Reaper? It's Show Tune Sunday. You guys pick out your songs. Sabine says, so far so good. Great. Sabine says, we are somehow busy with showing them a bit of our area where we're living. Nice. It's always fun to show people around your area where you live. I'm really fortunate living where I do in Maryland that if someone visited, we could take them to Baltimore, spend a day. If they're not vegan, they could get some crab cakes or some steamed crabs. We could take them to Washington, D.C. and hit all the museums, all the D.C. stuff. It's about half an hour, about 20-minute drive or so. We can go to the Bay Bridge. We can cross the Bay Bridge. We can go to the ocean. We can drive west and go to the Appalachian Trail. All kinds of stuff around here. Evan says, I've been with my girlfriend for 10 years, and now it feels like it's over because my family can't hold on to empathy long enough to be embarrassed. I feel stuck. Man, 10 years, you've been through a lot. I'm willing to bet that you guys can work it out. Be open, be honest, be kind. Ask her. Communicate. What can I do? What can you do to help her? Because your family's not going to change. Your family is your family. I always go back to, man, I probably say this 6 or 7 times a day, that in A Course in Miracles, they always say, do not seek to change the world, but seek to change your perception of the world. Because the world itself, it isn't going to change by trying to force your parents to be empathetic. It's beyond them. You can't get your girlfriend to have a great relationship with your parents if she can't. However, you can change how you perceive the situation, how you perceive your parents, how you perceive your girlfriend, and with talking to your girlfriend, she can perceive your parents differently. If she really saw that, being a narcissist is literally a clinical illness. It's not your parents' fault. Doesn't make it easier, but it gives you a sense of understanding. Speed says, oh yes, we enjoy it so much. It helped a lot to find my way of grounding again. Nice. I'm glad to hear that, Sabine. Sabine says, oh yes, Eric, it is much fun. It also seems to help you see the familiar in new light. If you show it to someone from out of town and then they light up seeing it for the first time, it's almost like we're seeing the world through their eyes. Just says good night, Kazrose. Kazrose says, "I'll stay here. We'll try it again tomorrow. Bye, guys. Sleep well." Kazro, thanks for coming in. Very much appreciated. And thank you for the book suggestion. Sabine says, Timo was cutting and editing his premiere video, and I had a really nice time and lots of fun with my best friend, Usilla. I always thought that was a pretty name. And her husband. Nice. Kazros says, just sub Jace. Nice. Hey, thank you for that, Kazros. We are working our way, Jace, to 500 subs. Let's see what kind of magic Mir has worked. 422. He said, Mir said the next live stream, meaning I'm sure he meant tomorrow. So that means he's going to dive in. The Master Sergeant retired. Milka is here and says hello. Hello, Milka. So Timo is cutting and editing. Man, he is so precise. Timo is an artist. He's not just putting up videos. I put up videos. Timo is an artist. He puts up works of art. That's for sure. Hey, Sabine, could I ask a favor from you? Could you drop Optimob link? Just in case there's anyone here who is not subscribed to the great Optimob. Milka, you might want to subscribe to Optimob if you're not already, as you absolutely love watching Bax the Wonder Dog roaming the hills of Switzerland, as well as cow videos. Doesn't get any better than cow videos, except for maybe dog videos. Or Sabine and Timo driving in the mountain videos. In case you can't tell, it's a beautiful channel that I absolutely love. As well, Mocha, Jace, you'd really like watching Jace. Has a great workout. He's also a huge supporter for so many people, but he has such a positive message. I mean, a loving message that he puts out there. And I can't forget our good friend Jacob. No one, absolutely no one works harder than Jacob. So yeah, hey, Mocha, subscribe to everyone, if you don't mind. Speed says, good night, Jace. Sleep well. Jacob drops my link. Thank you for that, Jacob. Jace says, Eric, we have come to that point. My mother, 17 years young. I asked her what love is, and she said she did not know. I then explained about energies, positive and negative. First, she never got it. At first, she never got it. But then when I said I love her, and did she feel it? She said it was warm and buzzy. And then I explained the sad negative side, and now she believes in energy. Salute. That's absolutely awesome, Jace. Absolutely awesome. And it goes to show, again, what we were talking about, removing the obstacles of love. Love is always, always present. Love is reality. Love is who we are. And we know it by the simple acceptance of all things. Life doesn't deny anything, even the stuff that we don't like, even the stuff that we wish that it would. That's not the nature of love. Love accepts and accepts and accepts. Through life, if we're lucky, if we're fortunate, we start to remove those obstacles to the realization of that unconditional love. Sometimes, for some very fortunate people, it happens all at once, and we call them enlightened or awakened. Jacob says, 48 subscribers left for Brother Burpee Reaper, making it to 1K subscribers. Absolutely awesome. Man, Mir spent the entire afternoon session just working hard for our friend Reaper. William says, crab could be good. For me, I want to try a lobster roll. Short of that, not much. Crabs seem like an awful lot of work for so little. As well, it doesn't have to be this way. Our friend Wolf and Barb described a way of doing it without. But at least here in Maryland, crabs are seemed alive. Barbaric way to get any kind of calorie. Jace says, yep, I read that part. Calgoth said, hey, Calgoth, how are you? Okay, so side of Mocha, and Jace says, Mocha, hello. I'm just bringing up our friend, our new friend, Calgoth. Not 100% new, as I am subscribed. I remember reading the channel description and really liking it. Goth culture is my favorite culture, and goth music is my favorite, and rock heavy metal. And death metal. Definitely like heavy metal, but I like old school heavy metal. I like the Deep Purple and Black Sabbath heavy metal. Our friend Squirrel Sniper is here, greeting beautiful souls from across the pond, but under the same skies. Hello, my friend. How are you today, Squirrel Sniper? William Hart said, after Finding Nemo, I couldn't eat seafood. I haven't seen Finding Nemo, but I can understand that. Yeah, I could definitely understand that. Jace says, greeting squirrels from our wetlands. It doesn't take much, William, to, we were talking up above with Evan about empathy, that in an empathetic heart, anything can trigger that type of response where, well, I'm done eating this, I'm done doing that. My father, who grew up in the mountains in Pennsylvania, his father was a forest ranger. His uncle was a game warden. Everyone hunted and trapped. My grandfather was state renowned as a bear hunter, having shot, unfortunately, 45 bear in his career hunting bears. So my father grew up hunting, but he was a He was a pretty shy, sensitive kid. And at 17, he joined the Navy till end of World War II. He was on the minesweep in the South Pacific. Came home from the Navy, and he went out hunting, as he used to do. And in Pennsylvania, especially at that time, if you saw something, and if your father was the forest ranger and your uncle was the game warden, you could shoot what you wanted to shoot. And he saw a fox, and he shot a fox. And he approached it, and he looked at it, and he asked himself, why did I do that? I love foxes. They're beautiful, and I killed it without even thinking about it. And he went home, put his rifles aside, and never hunted again. Didn't become a vegan or even a vegetarian. My mother became a vegetarian. But yeah, his desire to hunt or even fish simply left in a moment. Milka says hello to everyone, and Anika loved Finding Nemo. They never saw it. Squirrel says, beautiful hot day today. Went for a round of golf today with a swim in the sea this afternoon. Man, that sounds like a perfect day. Don't know if it can get much better than that, Squirrel Sniper. Jacob says, hey, Brother Sniper. And hey to Mocha. And he drops the link for Squirrel Sniper, as well as Mocha. Nice. Clarko says, hey, I'm Clarko. Clarko, my friend, how are you? Appreciate you coming in. William says, getting ready to eat some baked potato. I have a baked in the microwave pretty much every day. I have it with my lentils and rice, diced up. It's a good way to get calories. Potatoes are actually a great source of vitamin C. They're a good source of fiber. They have more potassium, actually, than bananas. Jay says, Clarko, welcome. So make sure, guys, remember, tomorrow is an important day. Tomorrow is Show Tune Sunday. Tomorrow is the day Burpee Reaper will play your song and do burpees to whatever song you pick. We had a great discussion this afternoon on octopuses, octopi. I think there was another option. I don't remember it. Milka put it out there. It was Greek. So in honor of that, I suggested the Beatles' Octopus's Garden, which is a horrendous song by any standard. A shame. The Beatles, greatest band ever. And they did that. Octopod, Octopody. Thank you, William. What an excellent memory. Clarko says, I was going to troll, but this guy is way too nice. Have a good one, bro. Thank you, Clarko. I appreciate that. And you know what? Hey, you're always welcome to come in and troll if you want. You're always welcome to come in and troll me. I don't, we're protective of the community. I consider myself fair game. As I should. If you can't think of, something clever to say about old bald guy wearing glasses and an earring talking about weird stuff as he sits in his office with a cat snoring at his feet, I don't know. Either way, very much appreciate you stopping in, Clarko. Jay says, Clarko, you're always welcome here. Indeed. Definitely. Squirrel Stepper says, Clark, greetings. Glad you didn't. It is nice that someone, reconsiders anything. We always have a choice. As I mentioned way at the beginning of the conversation, that given a choice, and we always have one, it's always better to be kind than it is to be right. It's always better to be kind than it is to be clever. And the reason has nothing to do with the other person. It has nothing to do with me, because you feel better. You walk away feeling better that you were kind. Clarko says, what did we talk about here? Well, this afternoon we were talking about the best year ever in music, and we were talking about octopuses and the best way to say octopuses. And up above, we were talking about the energy of love and removing the obstacles that keep us from the realization of love. We were talking about empathy and relationships, eating crabs or not eating crabs, eating potatoes. And honestly, man, Clarko, whatever you want to talk about, put something out there. If I don't know anything about it, I guarantee you I can make something up. Jay says, Clarko, many different subjects, brother. This is true. You know what? I said all that. I didn't even mention burpees. We talk an awful lot about burpees. As we should. Man, how could I forget that? It's right in the title. Oh, I talk a lot about yoga. I talk a lot about meditation and breath work. William says, in short, love, how to remove obstacles of viewing it. Thank you, William. Perfectly said. Jacob says, hey, Brother Clarko. And Scoresnip says, Eric, have you heard the message about the 3-sieve technique? I haven't. Fill us in, Sniper. William says, oh, for the record, crabs seem cruel. I could not. I agree. Jay says, Eric, have you ever been to a duck do? I haven't. Not to the best of my knowledge. What is a duck do? William says, burpees, Navy SEALs, nasal breathing. Nasal breathing. Thank you. We talk quite a bit about nasal breathing. Squirrel Sniper says, laughing out loud at Jace. Clarko says, what is your opinion on the failed assassination attempt? I'm glad it was failed. I'm glad it was a failed assassination attempt. It doesn't matter to me if you like Trump or don't, if you endorse him or if you don't, that any type of political opinion that could be solved by shooting someone is not only a danger to democracy itself, a danger to society itself. I don't wish ill will to anyone. So I'm certainly glad it was failed. As far as I know, a motive still hasn't been put out there. He seemed to be a very conflicted young man. William Hart says, ultramarathons, different types of workouts, and diet stuff. Yes, everything. And the answer to what does a duck do? What is a is quack quack. Thank you. And Clarko, we tell jokes. The best jokes are the ones where there's that slight delay in the punchline, because then when it hits you, it's like twice as funny. Our friend Thomas is here. Thomas says, hello, friends. 2-Pump Thomas, 2-Cap Thomas. Jacob says, hey, brother 2-Cap. Man, who's not subscribed to Thomas? Because Thomas is at 198 subscribers. We need to get him back over that line. Hey, Thomas, something that we were talking about this afternoon. What was the best year in music ever? In your opinion? Jacob drops the link for our friend Thomas. Score Stamper says, one is the information witnessed or hearsay. Okay. Clarker says, agree, absolutely. Yeah, anyone, left or right that would, cheer on the assassination of anyone needs to readdress their politics. Politics over humanity, politics over love, politics over simply civics is ridiculous. Politics should never trump life, should never trump our well-being. It should never compromise who we are. If I can't be kind to someone who has a political difference of opinion with me, then I need to readdress not just my politics, but my life choices. Squirrel Sniper says, second, number two, is the information good or bad? And I'm going to scroll down here. 3, is the information irrelevant or relevant? Interesting. Where is this from, Squirrel Sniper? Evan S. says, have you ever been to Canada? I have been to Canada. Quite a bit. Been in Toronto a couple times, Quebec City, Montreal. Took a ferry from Bar Harbor, Maine into Nova Scotia, and then drove up through New Brunswick and back down into Maine. Drove up through Upper Peninsula, Michigan to Sault Ste. Marie, and then drove east, and we went to Algonquin Park. I loved Algonquin Park. And I spent a week in Alberta, in Calgary. We drove up to Banff. Beautiful drive. Jacob says, I'm getting fire for you, brother Two Cap. You definitely deserve it. Yeah, he does. Jay says, thank you, Eric. I'm going to sleep now. Blessings to you all. Jace, I'll be looking for you in your early morning message. Thanks for spending some time. Jacob says, just 2 left to 200 subscribers for our brother Two Cap. Hey, if you're not subscribed to Thomas, definitely do so. Two Cap. You won't regret it. Two Cap says, oh man, that's a deep question. I feel like for me personally, 1996. And that's what it's all about, personally. Music should relate to you personally. So if you say, what was the best year? Mocha always refers to, that it's well known, commonly stated that 1984 was the best year of music. However, she also has a personal connection, personal reason. Loving Michael Jackson, loving Prince. I forget the other big things that relate to her. Also, man, did it get any bigger than Thriller? Did it get any bigger than Purple Rain? Springsteen, Born in the USA came out. If you're a Springsteen fan, I think Van Halen, was it 1984? Came out in 1984, believe it or not. So what was it in 96? TCAP says, from an academic perspective, probably some Renaissance year. Or 1958, when John Coltrane put out Favorite Things, uh, when Miles Davis put out his epic, what was it, Blue Green? Um, 58 was a big year in jazz. 65, the year I was born, the Beatles put out Help. Bob Dylan went electric like a Rolling Stone. Um, John Coltrane, The Love Supreme, a spiritual masterpiece. As well as the Rolling Stones, Can't Get No Satisfaction, a rock anthem. Hard to beat 1965. Jacob drops the link for Eric LaPointe. Thank you for that, Jacob. Kay says, hey, 2Cap. So maybe instead of the best year in music, we should say, what's your favorite year of music? So Kay Renee, what's your favorite year of music? Two-Cap says, some politics, however, do infringe on our well-being, Eric. Oh, I agree. I was talking about that up above, and the Tao Te Ching, they say that the best leaders are never heard from. We don't even know that we're being led because we are left to make our own best decisions. I was talking about that with our friend Poopinator. Mocha says 1958 is the year that Michael Jackson was born. There you go, making my case for 58. Oh, and Hall & Oates. I forget the album. It was the album that had Maneater. We got a whoop whoop from 2Cap. 199 subs now. Awesome. Evan says, what do you do for work? It's a good question. I've worked in gyms. I've done personal training. I have my own personal training business. I've worked a lot of retail in the supplement industry. It's where I met Mocha, by the way. And I've been an unpaid caregiver for both my parents. Now I am a small but persistent professional YouTuber. I come in here and talk about random and weird things for hours on end. And hopefully someone watches an ad and I make like 11 cents a day. Fortunately, I have small needs. Small needs and little overhead. And I have a commitment to a very, very simple contemplative life. So it makes it easier for me. Great question, Evan. Two-Cap says, a lot of good rap and dance songs in 96, plus the entire alternate genre. Man, Mocha and I have talked about this. The 90s might be the last great musical decade. I'm not saying that there wasn't anything good after, but, we had complete new genres. Hip-hop came into its own. Not that it wasn't prevalent in the 80s, but it reached this whole nother level in the 90s. And you had grunge, like it or not, it was a viable artistic statement. You had a lot of, like Thomas was saying, the alternative genre. The whole Carol Crow and Tori Amos, that type of stuff. Leo said so says, good evening, Sir Yogi. What's up, Yogi family? Hope you all is well. Leo, we're doing good. How are you? Appreciate you coming in. Two-Cap said 60s and 70s have some epic bands. A lot of people say 71 was the best year of music. Marvin Gaye stepped out of the Motown clutch that he was in and wrote What's Going On. The Beatles' very last album was released in 71. was made in 69 and 70, but was actually released in 71. Let It Be. Or actually, uh, yeah, I believe it was Let It Be. There's some confusion. I know one was made for the other. I'll have to double check on that. But the last, whatever it was, the last album from the Beatles was put out. Rolling Stones did Bagger Banquet. 71 was a really good year for music. James Taylor made it big. Released his first solo album. Elton John, Madman Across the Water. You guys want a classic album. Every song on Madman Across the Water is awesome. Jacob says, it was honored to be part of your live stream once again. Brother Yogi, blessings, big street to you all. Thank you, Jacob. Man, it's always a gift to have you here, my friend. I gotta take my little herbal supplement. Two Cap says, 1996, I was 10 years old. Very formative year. 10 was right when I started really getting some musical sense of what I liked on my own. Not that I wasn't still influenced, but I think you start becoming something at the age of 10, 11. TCAP says, lead from the front and set the examples. It's just so sad so many people put attention on these with big mouth. I agree, 100%. Thomas says, for 11 cents a day, you can feed Eric McCarty. Why should I feel that Sarah McLachlan should be playing in the background? But you're not far off. Sniper says, for me, it's various jungle and logical progression drum and bass from the UK between 91 and 95. Interesting. Is there something specific we can look up? TCAP says, I love that genre too. I'm not really familiar with it. I'm going to have to check it out. TCAP says, was in my video last week. Okay. TCAP says, what's going on? That song makes me cry. Man, it's a powerful song. And if you remember, Marvin Gaye, here's the thing with a lot of people love Motown. And you know what? For good reason, catchy tunes. But everything had to be done by a formula. It really drained the creativity of the artist. Oh, 71, Stevie Wonder came out, Superstitious. Another one who broke out of the Motown hold, the grip that they had. You had to do things the way of Motown, which was great for Motown, but it was the same. It was the same stuff. If Stevie Wonder had stayed in, you never would have Superstitious. If Marvin Gaye stayed in, you never would have What's Going On. If Sam Cooke had stayed in, you'd never have the epic stuff. Squirrel Simple says he used to dance for One Nation. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Mocha says, yep, Stevie Wonder came on his own in the 70s. Exactly. TCAP says, oh man, James Taylor, shit, that's the stuff you listen to when you are in love. Yeah, although some is the stuff that you listen to when your heart is broken too. So it can go both ways. Singer-songwriter era. Yes, it was. Cat Stevens. When MTV still played music. Yeah, it was brief. What, from 80, what did we say, 82? I don't remember, 82. And I think by early 90s, they were pretty much done with music. TCAP says, in the arms of the angel. That should be my theme song. Please buy Eric McCarty a potato. 11 cents can buy 1.5 potatoes. I don't know. Maybe it could. Scroll Up, it says, Tucat, my favorite MC, passed away. It'll be 52, MC Conrad. He was a vocalist for LTJ Burkham. Don't know these guys. I'm going to have to look this up. Thomas says, I'll look that up. Into that artist, not sure I've heard of them. Sorry for the loss. Man, you really do feel the loss of a good musical artist, don't the ones that had that impact on us? I remember how broken up Mocha was both for the loss of Michael Jackson and Prince. So music, that's the music that, you know, one, it's the soundtrack of our lives. So when you lose that voice, you're definitely losing a little bit of yourself. Thomas says, well, Squirrel, that must have been a great experience dancing professionally. Yeah, I bet. Healed on a broken heart, says Thomas. Exactly. And I have done that. I have put on James Taylor after a broken heart. To be fair, I've also put on Deep Purple after a broken heart. Noble says, hope all is well, buddy. It is, Noble. How are you? What's new in Noble Land? I saw you at a car show today. I had you up and running some. I want to give out some watch hours to my good friend Noble. Speaking of which, how's the watch hours? How's having, you got to be closing in to 4,000. How's having that first level monetization going? Scroll Simple says, TCAP, type in Western MC Conrad. That's his biggest tune. Nice. Mocha says 15 years, I think. I guess it was a good run. 15 years of music for a music channel. TCAP says, I feel that way about DMX. Thomas says, your ability to attract the conversation amazes me, Eric. Man, I get lost sometimes. If I knew how to slow the chat down, I would, but I don't. You can do like a 5-second delay. But I do my best to keep track. Not a super busy conversation, but you know, Saturday, people out with their family, going to a ball game, cooking out, doing something. I can just see someone, you know, we can cook out, we can go to the beach, or hey, let's go to YouTube and listen to that old guy talk about yoga. Not much of a choice, guys. But for those who come here, very much appreciate it. I'm actually going to talk for about 10 more minutes or thereabouts. So we're talking about music. You guys picked out your song for Show Tune Sunday for the Burpee Reaper. Mocha asked for the Rolling Stones. TCAP says, sitting quietly on my porch, was studying Japanese. Nice. Mocha says, yeah, DMX was a tragedy. Thomas says the others are sitting inside with the AC. Thomas says, not a perfect person, but he had soul. Yeah, a lot of people were broken up Tupac. Definitely suffered some musical losses. I know a lot of people. I was 11 when Elvis died, and even then, I liked Elvis. He was just always Elvis, you know, um, just part of life for my life at a time. Um, and I just remember so many people. That was probably the first like musical tragedy that I remember. You know, of course, I think 6. Janis Joplin, Hendrix, as well as Jim Morrison died. Didn't have that effect on me being 6. Um, but Elvis, yeah, that did have an effect. Mocha says Tupac truly a tragedy as well. Thomas says the rappers today say they compete with a ghost in regards to Tupac. Some of them need to step up their game then. Um, I don't listen to a ton of rap or hip hop, but a lot of it now just seems to lack what it had in the 90s. I think Mocha might agree with that, who listens to definitely more hip hop than I do. But, you know, man, in the 90s, you could say a lot of it was the soundtrack to the 90s. That's, every old person says the problem with this generation, here's the problem with this generation, it doesn't have a soundtrack. In the time of all this political discord, where's the music stepping up and leading the way? In the 60s, you couldn't separate the social scene with the music scene. They were entwined. uh, Thomas says, laughing out loud, Eric the Yogi and rap critic. Maybe that should be the name of my channel. Come for the yoga, stay for the rap critique. Let's see. Who were the ones on the relief mission? The airplane crashed? Let's see. The airplane crashed. I know Leonard Skinner. The majority of them died in effectively ending the band. But I don't know if that was the one on the relief mission. Squirrel Simper says Tupac sung a song called "The Murder by Numbers." He's talking about numerology and gematria. Huh, I'm going to have to listen to that. Tupac says some of the old G's have been popping back up. Oh, yeah, Lennon was huge for me. John Lennon dying. Roka says Janis died in 70. Jimmy died in 71. I guess it was in 70. I guess it was Jim Morrison. He died in 71. Yeah, John Lennon. That was the one that definitely hurt above all others. And maybe stolen away. Roka says Alaya and Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Thomas says, oh man, Squirrel, you like my late friend. His name was Eric. He would go down the craziest spine-tingling rabbit holes. Hard to deny he was on some genius stuff. Yeah, you've really described our friend Squirrel Sniper as well. Oh, Richie Valens. Richie Valens, the Big Bopper. The Day the Music Died. Don McLean. American Pie. Bye-bye, American Pie. Yeah, that was before my time. That was 59, I believe. Buddy Holly. Man, Buddy Holly would have been, he was big. I think he would have been huge because he was one of the few in that era of rock and roll that wrote his own songs. Score Simple says, CCAP, I met many Erics here. I've been down this rabbit hole now since 2013 here on YouTube. Mocha says, seemed like the whole world died for a moment when John Lennon was murdered. Yeah. Everything seemed very hushed. It was like the world, everything was toned down. It was the same way. I remember, Mocha, you and I watching uh, the news with Michael Jackson. And it was the same way. The world just got a little more quiet that day. John Lennon and Michael Jackson, those two, definitely something changed with the passing. Mocha says, the day the music died, 2Cat. Thomas says, I thought it was interesting, the concentration of Erics in my life. Oddly, for much of my life, I never met another Eric. Didn't know any, well, I knew one in school, one in high school. I didn't know any growing up. High school was the first time I met another Eric. Man, now they're everywhere. You can't swing a stick without hitting an Eric. I know, because every day someone hits me with a stick and goes, sorry, you must be Eric. Squares never said that song. It's talking about when the Rockefellers changed C from 432 hertz to 440 hertz the day the music died. Teacup says, my son's name is Eric. I hadn't heard that before, Squirrel Sniper. Don McLean said he voted for the Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. Teacup says, yes, Smoka, great movie. Did you name your son for your friend, Thomas? Teacup says, the Richie Valentine story? Valence, yep. Yeah, New Diamond Phillips was good in that role. Squirrel Sniper says, classical music is all 432 hertz. This is why David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force, and has done kinesiology testing on virtually everything, but he did so with music, and he said that one is the highest in the ranking, in the kinesiology ranking, on the scale of consciousness is what he called it, with 1,000 being the highest, and it was like in the nines. The only modern music that came close was actually the Beatles. And I'm willing to bet that it was not Octopus's Garden or Maxwell's Silver Hammer. I like classical music too. You should check out the formula for Love Supreme that John Coltrane wrote out. He literally said that it was dictated from the spheres, from the cosmos. The same thing Mozart. He heard entire symphonies in his head. He didn't have to concentrate. Closed his eyes and they were there. Thomas says, no, but it made it easier. My wife's late husband's father was Eric. Okay. It's nice that it covers those bases, though, and it has that meaning for you as well. Square says, 440 hertz is a pure tone. Rock among my favorite classical styles. And Thomas says, I thought since she loved him so much, it would be good to give our son his name. Yeah, excellent choice. Let's see. Teacup says rock and eggs. Mocha says har har har. Thomas says often my morning listen to work and school. Mocha says I played violin, 4th or 8th grade. I want to get back into it. Has mentioned that often. This has been one of the most extended music conversations I think that we've had, covering everything. We talked about it this afternoon. Man, I absolutely love talking about music. Thomas says Rock and Eggs was a program on the radio. Was it dedicated to classical music? Thomas says music is a good topic. It is. It's definitely a uniter. I mean, people have their opinions, but no one ever really critiques someone's, you got horrible taste in music, because you like what you like. Thomas says better than politics, 100% better than politics. I'm doing my best to remove myself from politics. I mean, I'm going to vote, and yes, I have an interest, but I don't want to immerse myself. I don't want to hate any opposition. I don't want to find myself going through 4 years of anything where I am putting out hate, where I don't want to be part of the divide. And man, politics right now, it's all about division. And of course, politics themselves, most politicians, not all, want it to be that way. They want that division. And of course, the major corporations that are paying the politician wants it even more, because it's about profit. Not going to go down a rabbit hole. However, we do have the power of the pocket. We can choose where we put our money. Squirrel Semper says, I dated a girl years ago that is now a composer for the Philharmonics Orchestra. Wow. Teacup says, how come it ended, Squirrel? Cheryl Hode, she plays every string instrument from harp to banjo. And I love both harp and banjo. Particularly banjo, as I'm a big bluegrass fan. Milka has been kind enough, actually, to listen to bluegrass with me. Hardly complaining for longer than half an hour. Thomas says you can be political while not being hateful, but it's challenging. It is. And I try to take up that channel when it's presented here. Every once in a while, somebody gets in a question, Trump or Biden, or are you Republican, or this or whatever. And I try to tread that line. I'm letting people know. I keep repeating again and again, my politics is kindness. My politics are love, that I vote for the sake of love. I've had people say that's pretty naive. So be it. If you want to keep the world the same, keep voting the same. Keep thinking the same. Keep refusing to be naive. If you want to change the world, then as Buckminster Fuller said, dare to be naive. Cause a paradigm shift. Be different. Thomas says, do you miss her a bit? Squirrel Sniper says, I was friends with the lads from Prodigy, Liam and Keith. I guess Cheryl's parents thought I was a bad influence. Almost every parent of everyone I've ever dated thought in some way I was a bad influence. they always liked me, but they always would say basically that this guy does not have potential. Do not put all your eggs in his basket, or something along those lines. TCAP says, no doubt you were. Thomas says, when I taught classes, I just straight up told people I don't discuss at work, but it's hard not to feel the lack of speaking up can be doing harm. I agree. However, when I talk about the politics of love, when I talk about the politics of kindness, and I talk about the importance that if we all got down to the basics, does any of us ever want to send a kid to bed hungry, starving, on an empty stomach? If you could vote on a policy or a politician that would make it a point, make it a priority, that every kid would be able to get lunch at school, that every kid would be able to manage to get food on the table, that we can find a viable solution for the homeless situation. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be someone with the, man, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. Sometimes we got to give someone a pair of boots. I often hear of, we're a Christian nation in America. We're not supposed to be, according to the Constitution. However, I got no problem with anyone. I have no problem with the majority of people in the United States being a Christian, making it a Christian nation. Not politically, but by their faith, and living by their faith, meaning that their politics reflect the love of Christ that they have in their heart. Squaw Stepper says, I was a lad, yeah, but I've always been faithful. Yeah, you summed me up a little bit there too. Not that I was always 100% faithful. Thomas says, my high school girlfriend broke up with me in part because her parents loved me. I mention in the morning quite often as I'm reading from the Tao Te Ching. I got my first book on the Tao, 1981, Alan Watts, The Watercourse Way, as well as a book on Zen from my girlfriend's mother. And when my girlfriend later broke up with me, I was heartbroken that I couldn't spend time with her mother any longer. And I had to give the books back. Thomas said, I hear some real disgusting things in public, and I like not to create an escalation, but it feels cowardly to not at least voice my disagreement. You and Milka have that in common. Thomas says those are good words on the subject, Eric. Thank you, Thomas. But you know what? And I think when we talk about that, when we take the political figure out of the policy, and when we explain it, do you really want this kid to go to Hungary to make a political point? When we explain it from that, I think there's common ground. Even on some very controversial subjects. Talking about abortion. It's tough to talk about, that's for sure. Oddly, in the New Testament, Jesus never addressed any social issue other than do good, feed the poor, clothe the clothesless, home the homeless, heal those who need to be healed. Never mentioned any of these big political issues that we'd love to talk about politically. Squirrel Shepherd says, I aimed high when I was in high school. In the 5th year, I I bagged a chance to date the sixth form head girl. She was the only girl that drove to school. Son is here. Dreadson, how are you? I'm just getting ready. 2 or 3 minutes. Gonna call it a night. It's a fun talk. Man, we certainly covered the ground today, from touching on politics, music, real deep down the music hole. Thomas says, Gloria days, squirrel. I hope you have some nice memories. The sort that inspires poetry. Nice. Dredson says, feeling fine, just passing through. Peace, peace. Peace to you, my friend. Rome says, definitely covered quite the area. Yeah, we did. Diet. We talked about burpees. You know what, though? Man, and I thank all of you guys, because we get to tie it all together under a universal theme of love, of spirituality, whatever form of spirituality. Everything we talked about, we've sort of been able to keep that theme alive within the conversation. So, man, I really appreciate you guys being able to do that. Thomas says, MF, stay up, bro. Rowan says, Mocha, do you have any other advice for Columbus, Ohio? Thomas says, I'm loving your burpees, MF. Yeah, he's putting the work in. Rowan says, take care, MF. Hey, William, I will make sure to ask Mocha. She might be off. She might be shutting things down, getting ready for bed herself. That I'll ask her about Columbus. Worm says, thank you very much. And if she has information, I can get it to send it to you on Facebook. Worm says, tomorrow I get a decision for lives. Nice. Keep me posted. Keep us posted. All right, guys. So let's call it a night. I really appreciate this conversation. It was a lot of fun. Both. Afternoon, actually, all three. Yeah, I do 3 live streams a day. I got nothing better to do, guys. But I appreciate it. It was fun. Sniper says there has never been any contract. A contract is by agreement, which must be signed. Checks 44 of the companies. 2006, obligation or liabilities can only exist inside a contractual agreement. Okay. Oh, Eric LaPointe was here. Quiet. You never know when we had quite a conversation about Erics in general. You never know when Eric LaPointe might be here. I've mentioned before, always good to know that regardless of active participation or not, that Eric LaPointe is nearby. It's good to have a spare Eric. If something happened to me, Eric LaPointe can step right in. He's hung out with me enough. He could probably be the next Just a Yogi doing burpees in his tree farm. Just a Yogi doing burpees on his tree farm. He'd step right in, seamless. You guys wouldn't even miss me. Thank you for that, Eric. Squirrel Sampa says, Eric LaPointe in the wings. It certainly is. All right, closing message. Don't forget, Show Tune Sunday. Pick your song. Ask a Reaper to play it. I put mine out there already. Octopus's Garden, the Beatles, I'm not proud of it. Had to be done. I'll see you guys there tomorrow. Or if you got nothing to do at 5 o'clock in the morning, come by and we'll talk about the Tao Te Ching. Thanks. Much appreciated, guys. Y'all have a good night.